Hey everybody, you're listening to the Raise the Roof podcast, a podcast by R3. I am your host, Drew, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to listen today. We have a great episode that's coming out today. This is our first episode, so I'm super excited about that. This episode is a conversation that I have with one of the owners of R3. Brad Matthews. I'm super excited for this conversation to get this information out there. Brad has a bunch of industry knowledge. He is a great business person, and he has really helped grow and scale R3 Roofing and Exteriors, and even R3 HVAC and many other divisions of our company. And so this conversation was great. I'm super excited about it. If you have any questions or comments that you want to add, please send them in to us. Comment on our Facebook page, TikTok, wherever it is that you see us. We'd love for you to ask the questions that we can help you answer. The biggest thing that we want to do is we want to help you grow in business and in life. And so we've had so many great conversations over this past week where I've been able to have conversations with people who are in our industry, with people who are our suppliers, with people who are on staff at R3, and many other people throughout this podcast who have helped level up and raise the roof for R3, and we want to help you do the same. So if you have any questions or comments, please let us know. And so now I take you to the conversation that I had with one of the owners of R3, Brad Matthews. So R3 is onto some amazing things in the future. I think it initially started as a roofing company. It's residential roofing company mostly, but we're really moving into a lot of different things here. We just partnered with or purchased a mechanical division and started that. I mean, we've got solar, we've got obviously commercial roofing, and obviously looking into the future. So this podcast is to help, show how we've made mistakes and learned, and then help you raise the roof into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Started off as a smaller residential roofer in the Quad Cities, Davenport, Iowa, and just trying to grow in the industry. Have scaled pretty successfully on the residential side. Now getting into large-scale commercial roofing, Department of Defense work, Department of Corrections, different municipalities, school districts, things like that. And as Drew mentioned, had the opportunity to take a heating and air company and kind of run with it and see what we can do with it. So a lot of things going on right now. It's pretty exciting.
Super cool stuff. So glad to be a part of something, a company and a business that's forward thinking and not stuck in just, we're doing this way. Like, let's see how we can get better, how we can grow. And I love the forward vision. So one of the things that we're talking about today is I feel like it's an important topic because of a statistic that I was reading the other day. And this, I didn't tell you about this one, Brad, but I just want you to maybe respond to this, listen to it and respond to it. But according to Money Geek in July 2025, so it's just what's the word? I'm trying to think of it now. Can't even think of the word right now. It's not coming to my mind. But Money Geek, they did a survey, and they found that 1 in 20 homeowners with homeowners insurance make a claim on their insurance in their lifetime.
1 in 20.
1 in 20. So 5%, that's roughly 5% of homeowners are making a claim on their homeowners insurance.
Make a claim at all, or
at
just
all.
Specific to roofing?
Make a claim at all.
Wow.
Whatever it is. And the average claim was about $18,000. But I just thought, whoa, that's incredible to me, because most of these homeowners, they're buying these homes and they're living in them for, a lifetime or 15 years, whatever their mortgage is, before they move again. Right. And they're making a claim maybe one time. Well, 1 in 20 homeowners is making a claim.
Yeah, that's, I guess insurance, it's a good business to be in. Yeah, that's crazy. So, again, that's 1 in 20 make any claim at all, not just a claim related to roofing, whether it be wind or hail. I think a lot of people are scared of their insurance company. They think their rates are going to go up and things like that. And of course, you don't want to go around making, frivolous claims. You don't want to do that. But you have insurance for a reason. You pay them monthly. And when things happen, you expect them to be there for you.
Absolutely.
So
that's what it's there for.
Yeah, with us, we work in wind and hail. Those typically are zero penalty claims, considered an act of God. So I know a lot of homeowners don't know that. They think if I call my insurance company out, have them take a look at my roof, whether or not they approve it or deny it, they think their rates are going to go up as a result. That's not really how that works. It goes up more on a regional basis. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting stat there.
Yeah,
I would have thought it was much higher than that.
No, I thought that was crazy too. 5%. And what's interesting about that is from a residential roofing, in our residential roofing division, at least that's so still there's 330 million Americans. So we're looking at, there's a lot of roofing claims out there still. So that's a good opportunity for us to see work and continue to see it. So that's good. Obviously we don't ever like to see people, lose homes or anything like that. But the idea is there's still work for us. So from a roofing contractor perspective, there's a lot of good things for us. And that's why we think that proactive inspections are super important. Literally 98% of claims from homeowners have to do with hail and wind damage. And that's primarily what we're seeing. So when they're making these claims, most of it is because of a huge hailstorm or a huge windstorm causing these, especially the roof, causing shingles or siding to be damaged.
Right.
So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. Like I said, the average claim was about $18,000. And so one of the things that I thought about is it's probably pretty important to invest maybe in a better shingle. So you're going to have a good claim where you can, make your home whole, but then it might be a good idea to invest in some better shingles, some more hail resistant, wind resistant shingles.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, we're in the Midwest, so most people have either a 3-tab shingle, others are typically a 25-year shingle, or you have a lower grade architectural shingle, which is typically a 30 or 35-year shingle. So what you want to make sure you're going back with is at least a 35-year shingle. A lot of insurance companies will actually give you a break on your premiums if you're going back with what they call a class 4 or a hail impact resistant shingle. That's not to say it can't be damaged by hail, but it's just going to take very, very large hail, maybe 3 inches or bigger, to damage those types of shingles. So I know with State Farm, I believe nationwide, there's a number of insurance companies that will give you a break on your monthly premiums if you're going back with that upgraded product. They're out there. They are a little bit more expensive, but you're talking about, yearly savings over 20, 25, 30 years. You're going to see a return on it.
So
for sure.
however long you're paying for your home, you're still saving money on this because you purchased a shingle up front.
Right.
That was a little bit more expensive. It's not outrageous, but it's worth it because you're getting your premium is a little bit lower. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you don't have to deal with the headache of filing a claim, the next hailstorm that comes through or something like that.
Which if you're in the Midwest, I feel like there's always somewhere a hailstorm is hitting.
Yeah, I mean, in the markets we're in, they typically get hit at least once a year, if not 2 or 3 times. I know I live in Urbandale, Iowa, so we've been hit, I think 3 times this year with hail, 1 1/4, 1.5 inch hail. I don't know how many tornadoes and windstorms we've had. In fact, Davenport just had
we just had a tornado,
like an EF2 tornado a few days ago. So, I mean, they're out there. It happens often. So, paying a little bit extra for that class 4 shingle is probably worth it.
Yeah, definitely going to be worth it. So now the idea is in this, we want to kind of talk about some frequently asked questions that homeowners are asking when we talk to them, right? Because a homeowner, 1 in 20 are making claims. So the ones that we talk to, they are either thinking about making a claim or they've already made a claim and they want someone to do the work. Okay. So one of the things that we get asked quite often is, why do roofing contractors always want to see my insurance estimate, the scope of work, or the check? Why do they want to see those things?
Because, we can't really, we can't help you to the extent that we should if we don't know what the insurance company is saying is damaged. So if they come out and they pay for part of your roof, let's say they pay for half your roof, but we know there's damage on the other half of the roof, hail comes down, it doesn't always impact each elevation the same. Maybe one side is worse than the other, but that's not to say that the side that's less damaged shouldn't still be paid for. So it's just kind of a starting base for the contractor to see, okay, what is the insurance thinking? How are they thinking on this claim? And from a contractor's perspective, if I get on this roof, everything that I'm seeing that's damaged, it should be on this insurance scope. Yep. So a lot of times we get on the roof, we have the scope with us, and we're seeing a bunch of damage, a bunch of items that are not covered, that should be covered. And then we can kind of present that to the insurance company from a contractor's perspective and let them know, hey, you guys missed A, B, and C, to get proper coverage for the homeowner. In addition to that, so we want to make sure, code items are covered. So if an insurance company pays, let's say $20,000 to replace a roof, and we think it's going to cost $25,000 to actually replace it, well, we need to be able to see, okay, on the scope that the insurance company provided, they didn't pay for ice and water guard, which is a code item. Maybe they didn't pay for chimney flashing, roof to wall flashing, things like that are code required. That we then need to present to the insurance company so they can, pay the homeowner appropriately for those items.
So my question would be, why do insurance company miss those things? Why is it not initially on the scope?
Well, the cynic in me says, they send their adjusters out and they're thinking in terms of how can I save the insurance company money. So any given adjuster, any given insurance company, State Farm, I don't know how many roofing claims they pay a year, but if they can get away without paying for ice and water guard on every single claim, the dollar amount to any one given homeowners, it's not astronomical, but you compound that, and if they deal with 1 million roofing claims and every ice and water bill is $1,000, I'm no mathematician, but do the math on that. It's a lot of money. So you want to make sure you're working with a roofer who is familiar with building code, is familiar with manufacturer specs. Not that we're going to necessarily negotiate with the insurance company, but we're going to provide them those facts in hopes that they give a more appropriate payout. The other thing is, if you're dealing with a widespread wind or hailstorm, your local State Farm office, they're not necessarily staffed for that. They might have one or two what we call staff adjusters. In Des Moines, where I live, or the Quad Cities here, they can't handle 5,000 claims. They're going to bring in what they call catastrophe adjusters or CAT adjusters, and those guys could be from Texas, they could be from Colorado, could be from Florida. But in different parts of the country, there's different building codes. So they come here, and they're not necessarily familiar with building code in Iowa. So they're going to write up a bare bones estimate, say, pick your contractor. If there's any items we missed, just have your contractor submit it to us. It's just a little bit of, I guess, not uneducated insurance adjusters, just guys that aren't necessarily familiar with building code in that part of the country.
Right, which is why it's pretty important to try to keep it as local as possible.
For sure.
When you're working with a contractor, the idea is let's work local, and then same thing with insurance too, right?
Exactly. So working with a contractor, you want somebody who, you see their trucks driving around on a regular basis. They have a local office. If you ever have a warranty issue on a roof, you want to know that they can service it. And beyond that, you don't want to pick a contractor from Texas. They're familiar with Texas building code, but not. There's different nuances the further north you get to account for cold weather and things like that. So there's different install methods. There's different products that need to be installed, like ice and water guard, that those guys just aren't familiar with. So you definitely want to use a local contractor.
So you mentioned something before we move to the next question. You mentioned something about sometimes insurance companies will pay out a portion of maybe the roof or the siding because it was damaged. Talk about so that's frustrating, right? Because a homeowner might might have a 10 or 12-year-old roof, and they're replacing with one side or a portion with new shingles. How does that work, especially in Iowa, right?
Yeah. So again, they're there to to pay for what's damaged. Maybe they missed the damage on the rear elevation, or maybe they just didn't see it. So let's say they just pay for the front. Let's say the front slope. Specifically in Iowa, there's a statute called a line of sight statute, and essentially what that is, when we boil it down, is if your roof is intact, roof or siding is fully intact, and it matches before a hailstorm hits, and hailstorm damages, let's say, two sides of siding or maybe the front of the roof, your insurance company's job is to indemnify you or bring you to your pre-loss condition. So if they come out, they pay for two sides of siding, and you install two new sides of siding, but the rear side and the maybe the right side have faded because they've been on there for 20, 30 years. Well, it's no longer matching. You no longer have a uniform appearance, right, which is what the line of sight statute calls for. You need a uniform appearance. So they would be on the hook for paying those additional two sides. So yeah, a lot of adjusters, again, if they're coming from Texas or Florida where they don't have those laws, they're not going to know about that.
Right.
So they're going to come out and they might really think they're, doing the right thing by just paying for these two sides. But again, just different nuances within a state or a region. You need to work with a contractor who's familiar with those so they can account for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And because I was thinking about that, the thing about working here in Davenport is we're not just in Iowa, right? Our
Right.
home office is also, we service a lot of Illinois. So I don't think Illinois has the line of sight law, do they?
No, they do not.
And I'm curious, do you know, are they planning on it? Is there any talks about it, or is it kind of just like Illinois is fine with not having a line of sight law in place?
There's always talks of it, but at the end of the day, until a bill or a law is passed, then they don't have it. So in Illinois, you're approaching things more so from the perspective of, is this roof repairable or not? And you are in Iowa as well, but a lot of times when an insurance company comes out and they pay for 2 or 3 shingles, well, if that roof's been on there for 20 years,
it's not repairable.
It's not repairable. To get those old shingles out, to slide new ones in, to be able to nail them properly and for everything to adhere as it's supposed to, it's just not going to happen. You're going to end up causing more damage to that roof than you by trying to repair it. So a lot of times it just ends up being a full replacement because you can't repair something that's 20 years old.
So the homeowner, if he wants to get the most complete, made whole, he probably, it would be good to talk to a contractor before he...
Yeah, so it's not to say you can't file a claim. Right. Go ahead, file the claim if you think you have damage. Obviously, if you see 2-inch hail falling from the sky, you probably have damage up there. But before the adjuster comes out, it's definitely worth your time to call a contractor, have them come out and get on the roof, put together their assessment with what they're seeing. If they need to cite any building codes or manufacturer specs, they can do that and present that to the adjuster for you, or present it to you so you can present it to the adjuster. So yeah, that would be my rule of thumb. File the claim if you think there's damage, but make sure you have a contractor out there before the adjuster shows up.
Makes sense.
Just so you can get a second set of eyes on it and that contractor's professional opinion on it.
Yep. And also, I feel like it also is a little bit of accountability too, right? So if the adjuster is saying something didn't happen, but you've had a contractor out there, you're able to see the photos with the package of, hey, here's what we saw when we got up and looked for this homeowner. You should make it right. Yeah,
accountability is, definitely the right word there. It goes back to something you brought up at the beginning. Regular inspections, yearly or biannual, those are important.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have damage up there or the roof is fine, you're at least documenting that for the insurance company. That way, a storm hits 6 months later, they can't say that was old damage or pre-existing because you have photo documentation, again, maybe annually or biannually, saying there's no damage on my roof at this time. Now there is. We can attribute it to this storm. So yeah, that's something I would definitely invest in if I was a homeowner.
I'm just curious, how often do you get on your roof?
My roof, pretty often.
Oh, really?
I would say 3 or 4 times a year. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's always something. I don't own right now, but I feel like there's always something that could potentially happen. Any storm, there's caulk that could be cracked or missing, or some sort of shingle or flashing.
Yeah.
So I feel like you got to keep an eye on it.
And I live in Urbandale. I'm way out on the western part of town, so past our neighborhood, it's nothing but cornfields till you hit Omaha.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of windstorms and things like that. So I'm on there fairly often. Snapping photos and things like that, just making sure that there's no damage.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've noticed working with insurance and on the contractor side too is there seems to be sometimes some awkwardness between that when the adjuster is out there. What is a roofer's role? What is the contractor's role being out there while the adjuster is out there?
If you're asking me just to provide a second set of eyes, again, these adjusters are not always familiar with what the building code is in that part of the state or part of the country. So if an adjuster's out there and they're inclined to pay for some roofing repairs, it does help them and save the homeowner time and back and forth with the insurance company. If there's a contractor that simply states, hey, in Iowa, there is a line of sight statute that we do have to comply with. So instead of, paying for just the front portion or the front and the right portion, we might as well pay for the whole thing and save the homeowner and you, the insurance company, some time and some back and forth and just give them the proper coverage up front. Again, we're approaching it from a contractor standpoint. We're not necessarily going to negotiate that with them. We're just going to provide them with what we're seeing with our own eyes and what we think the best practice is based off our experience. Yeah. We'll present that to them. I think that's probably the most appropriate role for a contractor at an adjustment. You can get into other things after the adjustment, but right there when you're on site, just providing that second set of eyes and maybe educating them a little bit on building code and things like that.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing is kind of a pattern here of the contractor. It's his job to know the building codes locally,
for sure.
Right? That would be our responsibility. So that's how we as a contractor can effectively help a homeowner navigate their insurance claim. To be honest with you, if you've ever seen an insurance claim, you'll know that it's sometimes it seems like a daunting task to read the insurance claim. And so, a good roofing contractor is going to know and have people that know how to read those claims, see what's missing, identify what needs to be added and then help the homeowner with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on the scope of the claim, we had one this year that was a roof, siding, gutters, pretty much the whole exterior of the home. I think there might have been windows, and then there was a full garage rebuild that the insurance company paid for. So to expect a homeowner to read through that and to know, are they paying for code, are they not paying for code? What am I really looking at here? I mean, it's just not going to happen. You need to hire a contractor to do that for you to make sure things are being done correctly. That's the biggest thing as a contractor is just knowing those codes. We call them codes, but at the end of the day, they're laws. There's things that we have to follow. We cannot break the law. We cannot not follow code.
Yeah, can't cut corners.
So just, again, being able to present that to the insurance company in a, friendly manner goes a long way. So. Yeah,
so I would say with R3, we have sales reps who are knocking at your door when there's a storm, right? Hey, there's been storms in the area. We want to make sure that you're covered and that your home is taken care of. This is your investment. We want to make sure that's properly taken care of. And then we often get questions after the payout is made or the scope of work is made from insurance. One of the questions that we get is, can I keep the difference between the roofer's quote and the insurance payout?
Okay, so short answer is no. Your insurance company, they're going to pay for equal or lesser value. The only exception to that is if there's a code upgrade item. Maybe your decking isn't thick enough, so they pay for an upgrade to your decking, but that's more of a code upgrade item. Typically, they come out and they pay for equal or lesser value. So if your roof is $20,000 They determine your roof costs $20,000 to replace, and you get it replaced for $15,000. Well, they're just going to pay you $15,000 instead of 20. So there's really no, keeping funds or trying to get a cheaper bid so you can hope to profit off of it. That would be a no-no. You're not, really supposed to profit off of an insurance claim as a homeowner. Again, it's their job to make you whole again and bring you back to your pre-loss condition. But you're not necessarily going to be able to profit off of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I like about R3 is our sales reps who are at the door, they're educated on, maybe not, they don't know everything, but they're at least educated on what code is and a lot of the details on the front end. But we also have people in office who are very educated at going through and combing through these scopes, running through the numbers and making sure everything is accurate. And that protects more than just the homeowner. It protects more than just us. It protects everybody involved with the insurance process and the work that's being done. That's what I like about R3 is, we're really working to make sure everything is covered. And sometimes I think though, what happens is as much as the information as we know, we forget to educate the homeowner because the homeowner is again, it's important to hire a contractor that knows what they're talking about so they can educate the homeowner because the homeowner is going to come to the end of this. And, when we start dealing with money and making sure homeowners are made whole, kind of can get hairy sometimes. So it's important to make sure that a homeowner is educated from a roofing contractor's perspective, right?
For sure. And that starts with our first interaction with the homeowner. So you mentioned we have door-to-door canvassers that, they're really the ones having that initial conversation with the homeowner. And then we have what we call a closer that comes out and assesses the damage. And you're dealing with, multiple people with R3 roofing. So I would say, a lot of homeowners, they say they want to deal with one person throughout the whole process. But I would really caution against that. It's hard for one person to be an expert at everything. Yeah. You want them to be an expert at roof inspections, dealing with your insurance company, an expert at production, an expert at billing your insurance company. It's hard for one person to be good at all those things. So at R3, it's, you're dealing with a team of professionals. So you might not necessarily meet everybody face to face, but you will be dealing with somebody on the front end who's responsible for the inspection, taking it to a contract, picking roofing colors, things like that. You'll be dealing with our production department after that. You'll be dealing with our billing department, the person responsible for sending the bill to your insurance company and making sure monies get released. So you're dealing with a team of people. And for me, I've been in the industry for 15 years. I see a difference in, I guess, the customer's experience when they're dealing with a company that, you truly are dealing with the whole company as opposed to just one sales rep who is expected to be good at everything, which is the typical business model in roofing. Send out one person and they're in charge of inspection, ordering materials, meeting the insurance adjuster, sending in supplements, collecting money, dealing with a mortgage company. It's just too much for one person. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with a company who has a proper team to back you and help facilitate your claim.
Right. And then from a business standpoint, that model of one person running the whole project from like the R3 business standpoint or really a roofer's standpoint, it's not scalable. Like someone's going to burn out quickly, right?
Yeah, no. From a roofing owner or a roofing salesman standpoint, it is absolutely not scalable or sustainable.
And I feel like we'll talk another time about how we should structure that. But yeah, so insurance wise, you cannot keep the extra amount. There's really no profiting off of it. Yeah, no. You get made whole by what the insurance pays. And a lot of times they're going to pay out more than you expected, and sometimes they'll pay out less than you expected. But
there's also a deductible that has to come into account.
Yeah, that has to be paid for out of pocket by the homeowner. But so now, so you've been in this industry, what, little over 15 years or 15 years-ish? Okay, so now this is the hard part to talk about, right? Because we always want to make people think that we're, this great, perfect company or we're a great, perfect person, kind of the persona. We don't want people to think we're bad or whatever. But my question to you is, what mistakes have you seen R3 make or roofers in general make when it comes to handling these insurance claims?
So the first thing that comes to mind, we've already kind of talked about this, but just not being aware of what building code is and the codes that matter. You being in the industry for a long time, you start to see, adjusters typically miss A, B, and C on the scope in regards to building code. So just having those top of mind, or maybe having a PDF printed off in your truck, or now having it, available on your iPad. Just knowing those building codes and knowing, okay, this is so-and-so, that maybe it's nationwide, they always miss chimney flashing on the front end. I'm going to maybe bring that up to the adjuster on the front end. So just knowing those codes, that would be the biggest one. Knowing how to properly supplement throughout the insurance process. A lot of times that's a moving target. So you're doing so many projects a year, you're moving fast. You're typically not on any given roof for more than one day. So to get the proper photo sets, proper documentation to send to the insurance company, that way they receive your supplements, they see the photo associated with the supplement, as well as a piece of building code or manufacturer specification saying, hey, this is why we need this item. Just getting that fine-tuned to a really streamlined process, that's a big one. And then last one would probably be to almost just overstaff, whether it's on the front end, reaching out to having folks in office that are able to reach out to the homeowner on the front end of the project, production staff in the middle of the project. I'm just staffing appropriately to be able to handle these jobs at a high volume. And again, it goes back to making sure the homeowner has as great of an experience as you want them to. Of course, you make mistakes and things like that when you're on site. At the end of the day, it is construction, but you can mitigate a lot of those errors on the front end, I think.
Sure. One thing that I've noticed, just dealing with the production side of things in R3, is sometimes reps will let the adjuster kind of control the scope. And that leads into some of the things you were saying, like not having the proper documentation, proper damage photos. And that leads to lesser amounts for the payout, right? And then the homeowner's not made as whole as he should be. So we try to take responsibility as a company to be able to put the homeowner in the best position to be made whole. That's one of the goals that we have. So one of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier was upgrading to a better shingle, right? So that would help your premiums go down. How does it directly affect the material choices, like the insurance coverage? So, for instance, they'll pay out a certain amount per square for the shingle that's up there, or what is the?
Yeah, so your insurance company is going to pay for what's there at the time of loss. Yeah. So if you have a 30-year shingle there at the time of loss, they'll come out and they'll pay for a 30-year shingle. If you have a 25-year, they pay for a 25. If you have a 50-year, they pay for a 50-year. Now, there's different pricing involved with all those shingles. 50-year is going to be more expensive than a 25-year. They determine that with a software called Xactimate that gives fair market value pricing for your part of the state or your part of the country. So that's how they determine price. Again, they're just paying for like, kind, and quality. So what is there at the time of loss? Now, I can only speak for us. We do a high enough volume of roofing that we can afford to give one free upgrade to the homeowner in terms of roofing material. So even if they have a 25-year shingle on the roof at the time of loss, we'll upgrade them to a 50-year duration shingle. It's an Owens Corning product. Beyond that, you're getting into the class 4 and the really, really high-end shingles. Those, there would be a price difference and an additional out-of-pocket cost for the homeowner. But yeah, in general, your insurance company pays for what's there, and you would hope that the contractor, can give you at least one free upgrade, and then beyond that, it's going to be a cost to the homeowner.
What about if I have shingles on my roof and I want a metal roof? Like, how does that work?
So metal roof is, those are pretty pricey, especially right now. So if you have a shingle roof, you could be maybe anywhere around $600 a square or so. If you wanted a metal roof, you're getting to $1,000 a square and higher. $1,000 would be for maybe a lower end metal. You start getting into standing seam and hidden fastener and things like that, it's going to be quite a bit more expensive. So yeah, that would be an additional cost for the homeowner. There's a lot of opinions on metal roofs. I don't necessarily know if it's worth it. I really do think the 50-year duration shingle, you're going to get almost as much, if not the same lifespan out of that than you would a metal roof. So
I feel like at that point, maybe it's the look you're going for, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the look you're going for. A lot of people like the farmhouse look, and metal roofs, tend to fall in line with that. But as far as functionality, I mean, a 50-year duration is pretty hard to beat.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider cost and that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So from a homeowner's perspective, any storm happens, you're going to have people knocking at your door saying, "Hey, how can we help you?" Obviously, they want the work, right? That's just that's how they make their living. So they want the work. Now, from a homeowner's perspective, what types of insurance should a homeowner be looking for in a contractor?
What types of insurance?
Yeah,
so both general liability as well as workers' comp. There's different limits that you could look for. You'd probably want at least $1 million limit. But yeah, general liability and workers' comp, just to make sure that if anybody falls off the roof and gets hurt, that the contractor's covered for that, and it's not going to be a claim against you or something like that. Those would be the two big ones. General liability, workers' comp would be the two that come to mind.
Yeah. So then, kind of along those lines is how do we as a roofing company keep homeowners from picking, storm chasers, people who are out of town, don't know the code. We've established that is super important. How do we kind of keep them from doing that?
I think just talking about it, talking about it on platforms like this. The local news does a pretty good job of it as well. Anytime you get a big hailstorm that comes through, at least in the markets that we're in, they typically do a, how to choose a contractor segment. So things like asking for a driver's license when somebody knocks on your door, and if they present you a Texas driver's license, probably not local. So just making sure they're at least from the same state as you is a good start. And just kind of being aware in your day-to-day. If you see R3 roofing trucks driving around your part of town daily, then obviously they're a local contractor that is doing work in the area on a regular basis, lives in the community, spends their money in the community, things like that. Checking license plates can be another one that is pretty easy for a homeowner to do. Back to the workers' comp and general liability, things like that. Your roofer should have documentation of that
and be able to show you, right?
Yeah. So just for instance, with us, all of our reps have iPads, and they have all important company docs and different apps that we use on that home
licenses
screen.
Too, right? We could pull up the license for that area.
Exactly. Licenses, reviews, things like that. So just with the click of a button, they can pull all that stuff up for you. I know a lot of roofers are still on, pen and paper. So maybe just ask them for a hard copy. If they are on pen and paper, that doesn't mean they're a bad roofer. Just a little bit different of a business model there. So they should have a copy of it in their truck that they can present you with. So yeah, those would be the big things, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the last things that I was thinking about was we talked earlier about the kind of preventative maintenance side of things. So is there any way that if I proactively check my roof, make sure the maintenance it's upkept, is that going to keep my premiums down?
Will it keep your premiums down?
And I guess you're not actually one of the insurers, so maybe you don't know that answer, but I'm just looking at it from like, I've noticed a lot when we have a homeowner and we're going through production, right? And so we're building the project and something will happen and we notice there's rot, wood rot especially is from what I'm thinking and remembering in my head these times that have come up. We'll try to get on the phone with the insurance and like, hey, there's damage here. What can we do? And then the insurer is saying, well, this is due to neglect.
Right.
So I guess my question kind of comes from that. Like, how do homeowners, I mean, will preventative maintenance help them keep the premiums lower, or what?
I don't know that it'll keep the premiums lower. My understanding is those premiums, when we're talking about wind and hail, those go up on a regional basis. So the more claims you get in a given region, everybody's rates go up together. I think what it will do is, we were talking about, we don't want to file, or we don't want anybody to file frivolous claims. If there's not damage, then a claim shouldn't be filed. So if you're on your roof 2-3 times a year, you're going to be pretty in tune with, okay, that damage wasn't there before that storm, or that damage isn't from, a storm 10 years ago. So I just think it does help with that, not filing claims that are baseless or that you don't need to file. And one other thing that you mentioned is, if you have wood rot or something like that, that typically is more of a maintenance issue. So just helping prevent things like that. I mean, things like silicone around a pipe jack. There's any number of things, but just being able to maintain your roof in that regard is going to prevent more maintenance issues from springing up, and a potential claim from getting out of hand. I mean, your insurance company wants to just come out and pay for what's damaged. They don't want to have to pay for an interior leak or, new decking or things like that. So the more upkeep that you can do on the front end, I think the smaller those claims are going to be, and that's better for the insurance company.
For sure. So one of the things, as I'm thinking through this, is we expect a homeowner to just get up on the roof. It's their home. They should probably be doing preventative maintenance. But from a roofing contractor's perspective, especially when people have steep roofs, they can't get on, they're older people.
Right.
What do we offer, or what could or should roofing companies offer to be able to help with that?
Yeah. So with us, we offer essentially a warranty. We come out, and there's different tiers, but in the highest tier, I believe we come out biannually to assess your roof for you. If it's any small maintenance issues like silicone around a pipe jack or around a nail head on the ridge vent or things like that, we'll just do it when we're up there. But either way, when we're up there, we are going to document everything. So we're going to take photos, store those on file for you. That way, when a hail or windstorm does come through, we can definitively say, hey, on this date when we were on the roof, there was no damage. We updated or upgraded silicone around, 5 pipe jacks, maybe a chimney flashing or something like that, just to kind of give the insurance company more information to work with. The other thing that we offer is, we might do, 40, 50 roofing inspections a day. Now, a lot of those don't have damage, and we'll let the homeowner know, hey, you don't have any damage. We have what's called a no damage form. And in that form, we upload, I believe it's a half dozen or maybe 10 photos of the roof, the current state that it's in, showing that there's no damage. Maybe if there's some mechanical damage or some install issues, we might document that in there as well. But it's a document that shows, hey, on this date, we were on the roof, we inspected it, and weren't noticing any visible wind or hail damage, and that's stored on file for the homeowner. So those are 2 ways that we try to tackle that issue. Can't speak for other contractors, but again, we thought it was important to be able to offer that to not only people that we have put a roof on, but people that we're just coming across in our day-to-day that don't have damage now, but we want to make sure we document that for them.
Okay. Yeah, this is all gold information. So I work on the production side of things. So a lot of this insurance stuff, I don't really have to deal with yet. And I'm not a homeowner yet, so I haven't had these, but I've had these questions. Some of these questions come up,
right?
And so this is really, really good information. We'll probably do another insurance one, maybe related to because I also have questions about like the commercial side of things, like how does insurance work on the commercial side, or what about in our solar division? How do we work together with insurance to remove the solar panels and put the solar panels back on? So I'm sure we'll have another topic related to those things. But the next episode, what we're trying to do is we want to talk about our structure. So we kind of got into it a little bit today with a little bit of our sales structure and company structure, but we really want to break down our structure as a company, how you guys saw the need for a change and what it took to make the change and the painful process that it was. And then hopefully someone learns from it. And then you just, I mean, it's just going to be pretty interesting to talk about those kind of things. But if you have found this information helpful, please like and share this from a homeowner's perspective, from a contractor's perspective. If you have any questions, any thoughts related to this topic on insurance, please put it in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, thanks for listening to the first episode. Hey, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to listen today to the Raise the Roof podcast. Really appreciate you going out of your way to listen to this. If you found something interesting or helpful today, would you please like and share? We'd also like you to subscribe so that you can stay on track with us as we grow. We want to help everybody else grow as well. And so if there's something that you have a question about, please let us know in the comments or let us know through direct message. Again, thanks for listening.